So you've been watching all the YouTube videos and the Instagram content, but for some reason you just still haven't started investing yet. And you're just wondering why, what's happening? Well, as most of you will probably know, Auntie V is always here to come and bring you the answers. So in this video, I'm going to be giving you 5 key reasons why people don't invest. And if you realize that's you, then of course I'll be giving you some key tips on what you should be doing about it. I don't know, Auntie V. When it comes to investing, I'm always hearing these mixed messages. I'm always hearing negative and positive things. So which is right? Okay, so before I actually answer that question, of course a lot of you know that Google is my best friend. So of course I decided that I was going to research on my phone and let's pick out some key statistics. Now, when I did come across these statistics, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit shocked, but you know, let me just read it out and just let me know in the comments what you think about these statistics as well. So I went on finder.com just to find out a few statistics on investing, and specifically I wanted to look at the UK. So the first thing that I saw was that 2.2 million in the UK, that's just over 3% by the way, were subscribed to a Stocks and Shares ISA account in 2019. That is just 3% of the whole population were subscribed to a Stocks and Shares ISA, which for me was mind blown because I actually thought it would have been a bit more than that. I was probably thinking maybe around 10%, so I was actually quite surprised to see it's only 3%. The next statistic is that 13.5% of UK shares are owned by individuals. The rest is owned by institutions like banks and investment firms. Now again, I was a little bit surprised at this again, but actually when you look at the first statistics, then you're probably not too surprised. But again, it's just a little bit surprising the fact that it's only 13.5% of just individuals that are currently investing or have UK shares. Now obviously remembering that other people will invest in different asset classes like property for example, but you know, this is what's going on. And then the next statistic was that the average Stocks and Shares ISA account is worth £27,000. Now obviously that is an average, so some people are going to have a lot more and some people are going to have a lot less, but when you think about things like actually financial independence and retirement, then you start to think, actually, do people have enough money, or are they investing enough money for things when it comes to like retirement for example? Now obviously this is really talking about the Stocks and Shares ISA, it's not referring to, you know, pensions and things like that. But again, I was a little bit surprised and just wondering exactly who would be on the higher end and who would be on the lower end. And then this last statistic, guys, I'm not gonna lie, this one shocked me because I was not expecting it. But investors now hold onto their shares 0.8 years on average before selling them. In 1980, the average was 9.7 years, representing a decline of 91.75%. Guys, when I saw that statistic, I could not believe it because I was actually really shocked to see that people on average less than a year, literally less than a year, holding onto their stocks, which for me is absolutely mad. And personally for me, I'm not gonna lie, I was a bit disheartened with that statistic, just mainly because investing should be a long-term game. So the fact that people could only be holding onto some shares for less than a year is just absolutely mad to me. Wow, are people really looking to get rich that quickly? Because again, for the majority of people, when we do think about investing, or at least in my terms, it's pretty much for the long term. And I'm not talking about 6 months as being long term, I'm talking years, like 5, 10, 20, 30, 40 years. So yes, to say that I was a little bit surprised at those statistics was definitely an understatement. Okay, Auntie V, so why aren't most people investing? So the first reason why I think a lot of people don't currently invest is really due to fear. And actually when I do talk to a lot of people, this is probably the #1 reason why they just do not want to invest. A lot of it is because there is a fear of actually just putting money, you know, whether it's into the stock market or property or anything like that. But then also there is this massive fear of actually losing money as well. And for me, I think a massive reason for this is because of some of the stories that you may end up seeing on social media or on the news, for example. If you see that someone's lost like £100,000 because they invested in the stock market, then obviously you're probably going to have an element of fear and you're less likely to want to invest. But for me personally, to be honest, I don't tend to really look at the news because there's always just negative information. They're never going to really give you the positive story. So they're never going to tell you, oh, this person that invested in the stock market for 15 years was able to get a return. They're not going to do that because bad news sells at the end of the day. So whenever I actually see those negative news, especially if the stock market, for example, is going down, or if the property market has gone down, then you're more likely to see that on the news. And then you will start to see stories about, you know, people who have lost their homes because they've invested in property, for example, or because of, you know, so-and-so who's lost, you know, £50,000 in the stock market. Well, I don't really want to invest because Sally invested her money a year ago and she lost everything. Now, when I see this fear, I think with a lot of people, it is down to just really not being able to control your money in that sense when it comes to investing. Now, yes, that is definitely true in the sense that you can't always guarantee your returns, especially if you're investing in somewhere like the stock market. Again, it's going to depend on what you're investing in. However, I do think there are things that you can do to mitigate those risks as much as possible. Now, when you're investing, it's never going to be 100% risk-free, but again, at the same time, you are always taking risk when you're living in this world, because when you leave the house and you go to work, for example, you are technically taking a risk, especially if you're taking public transport. So personally for me, even if there is risk with everything, there is always going to be risk, but you also have to remember there are certain things that you could potentially invest in that are probably going to be less risky compared to other investments. And if you're liking this video so far, then be sure to give me a thumbs up, as it really does help to support the channel, and it's free. The second reason why I think people don't tend to invest is a lot to do with having a lack of education and knowledge. Because if you have no idea how investing works, or you don't really know what you're investing in, then of course you're less likely to invest. Well, duh, Auntie B, why would I even bother putting money into something I don't understand? And to be honest, I do think that links really with everyday life. So for example, if I'm looking for a new laptop, but I have no idea what the specifications are around the laptop, what it does, and if it's even going to be useful for me, then I'm less likely to put my money into it and actually buy the laptop, because I have no idea what it's going to do for me. And I think it's very similar with investing. If you have no idea what investing is, or why you need to be doing it and why it's important, for example, or you don't even know what you should be investing in, then you're probably less likely to do it. Now, I am not a financial advisor at all, but I will be the first person to tell you that saving money is only going to take you so far, okay? You cannot save your money to wealth. And as much as I absolutely love saving money, I do think it's a really core foundation to personal finance in general. But for me, saving money is only going to be a part of your journey, okay? You do really need to think about investing, because that's really going to take you from just controlling your finances to actually accelerating it. Now, for me, I was definitely in a very similar situation. So when I first started learning about personal finance, I had no idea what investing was. And so there was no way I was probably going to put my money into it. However, when I did start learning about investing and actually taking the time to educate myself and build knowledge around it, and then again, understand why I need to be doing it and understanding what potentially I could invest in, then I was more likely to actually put my money towards investing, because I understood what investing was. Which, if you didn't know it, even though I was still in debt, so for example, I still had my car finance that I had to pay off, and I was also working on paying off my overdraft. At that point, even though I was still paying off my debt, I was still taking time to actually educate myself and build that knowledge around investing, so that by the time that I'd paid off my debt and I'd got things like my emergency fund in place, I was then ready to invest. And I didn't really have a fear of investing, because I already understood, you know, how everything works, and also because I'd built the knowledge around it as well. Now, if you have no idea how investing even works and you're really starting from the beginning, then don't worry, I've always got you. So I do actually have videos talking through how you can actually start investing as a beginner, and just going through the whole process as well. So definitely check it out if you haven't already. I will link that up here for you and in the description below. But what you'll find is that the more knowledge you start to build, the more confident you will start to get, and you will be ready to then start taking action and actually start investing. So the third reason why I think people don't tend to invest is due to something called analysis paralysis. Now, again, what I thought is, let me just read out the Google definition, well, the Wikipedia definition first, and then obviously I will talk about it in my own words. Analysis paralysis describes an individual or group process when over-analyzing or overthinking a situation can cause forward motion or decision making to become paralyzed, meaning that no solution or course of action is decided upon. Auntie B, that doesn't sound like me. Okay, so let me break it down and ask you a couple of questions and see if you identify with any of them. Firstly, have you found yourself reading all the books, watching all the content, but still haven't found yourself investing? Number two, do you have an idea about what you want to invest in, but you're still yet to choose the perfect one, so you haven't even started investing at all? Or number three, are you overwhelmed by so much information out there that you're starting to just overthink everything and you just give up altogether? Oh, maybe that does sound like me. And that, my friend, could be a sign of analysis paralysis, because what then ends up happening is maybe you've got all of this information in your head and you've just really taken the time to do all the research, but at the end of the day, you just get so overwhelmed with things like that and you just decide not to take action. So yeah, this could really be evident, especially if you have taken the time to read all the books and do all the research, but at some point you've just got so much information in your head, you just end up just not really being able to take any action because you're just so overwhelmed by everything. So the one thing I would say is that if you are really in that position, the best thing you can really do is to just start, and just maybe start small and see how you go, and then just learn from that experience. And even if you do make mistakes, there's nothing stopping you from actually learning from those mistakes and then taking that on board. Or for example, you might decide to enroll into a specific course or program so that you can just understand the step-by-step process first without actually having to think about all the other information out there. And then also you've got that accountability aspect as well. So it really stops you from just having that analysis paralysis, and then you do really end up taking action. So the fourth reason why I think people don't currently invest is really down to the fact that people have no money. Now in this scenario, I'm not really talking about people who genuinely can't afford to pay their bills, for example, and obviously wouldn't have money to invest. What I'm specifically talking about is people that actually do have a consistent income coming in, and they probably do have some disposable cash, but at the end of the month they never have money to invest. I mean, I do get paid every single month, but usually the money just disappears. And so this is really where the foundation of just actually managing your money is going to be so important, and why I think saving is really important. Because if you haven't got to the point where you're even able to save your money, then how would you expect to invest your money? Now again, this is where just the fundamentals of personal finance comes together, and I'm wondering if you can see how it all really starts to fit together, because until you actually learn how to budget and save your money, it's going to be a bit difficult for you to find that money to actually be able to invest it. Now again, if you're totally new to managing your money, I already have videos really talking about firstly how you can manage your money, and budgeting and saving videos as well, so definitely check them out. I'll make sure to link those in the description below for you. But once you're able to actually manage your money well, and then you find that you do have cash to be able to invest, it's a lot easier for you to then really be consistent and understand exactly how much you want to be investing every single month without fail. So the fifth reason why I think people don't tend to invest is really due to a lack of patience. Now I think this is really linked to the statistic we shared earlier in the video, where it talks about some people selling their shares just after 0.8 years on average, which again, I'm still very surprised at. Again, it's really important for you to understand the difference between gambling, trading and investing, because they are all very, very different. Hold up, because I got told I could make 6 figures in less than 6 months. Now yes, you might see people that are getting crazy returns over a matter of months, but really when you're thinking about investing, again, it is very much a long-term strategy. I feel like I've been saying this a lot in this video, but it's really something that I do want to stress, because a lot of people think that they can start getting returns over the next couple of months rather than actually just investing over time and seeing those returns compound later on. And again, I think this is especially important if you're just not looking to get rich, but you're actually looking to build wealth over time instead. So I do think a lot of people just don't really have the patience to think about doing something consistently over time. Now yes, it may be boring, but it can also be rewarding, especially when the compound effect starts to take place, and that really starts to happen over a period of time as well. So even though investing may seem a little bit boring, but if you really do want to have that patience and actually be investing consistently over time, you will then really start to reap those rewards. And that is the power of investing for the long term. So if you did like this video, then please do give me a thumbs up if you haven't already, and let me know in the comments, do any of these reasons really resonate with you? I do post every Tuesday and Friday, so if you would like to know more, then of course you can subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys on Tuesday.